Woodworkers are really great at building things, but we're really bad at fixing the little annoying stuff that slows us down, because there is always another project that feels more urgent. So the dust builds up, the squeaks get louder, and before you know it, everything just starts feeling a little bit harder than it should. And at some point, you have to stop. So today, that is what we're doing. Not building, but fixing. We are finally taking care of all those small, annoying things that do not seem like a big deal, but ends up slowing us down every single time we start a project in the shop. So go grab your dustpan and let's start this wood story. The first thing I'm going to do is make a list. I personally love the satisfaction of checking things off as I go along, so this is going to help keep me motivated. Now, tackling sawdust is of course first on my list, but I'm not talking about the usual dust bags. No, we're going to go deep into our tools to remove sawdust from places that have built up over the year, starting with my table saw. Now, my model has a little side cabinet that I can access and drop in my hose to vacuum up all the build-up sawdust. This may not seem overly important because it doesn't technically impact the saw's ability to run. But I was once in a situation where I was cutting very dense wood, and it was generating so much heat that a little ember emerged, and within seconds I had smoke coming up from underneath my table saw because this ember had fallen into this very area that I'm now cleaning out. Now, luckily, my incident didn't lead to a full fire, but ever since then, I've taken extra care to clean out this area a couple times a year, and I keep both a fire extinguisher and a fire blanket close by in my shop. My router is attached to my table saw, and for the longest time, it has been close to impossible for me to move up and down the bit using the lift function. Now, I do suspect that this is again due to sawdust, probably getting into the gears, so I'm going to be using a toothbrush to clean out all the little wheels, but that means I need to fully disassemble this unit by taking it out of its box. Now, after going through all of this cleaning, it still wasn't running as smoothly as I would have liked following the clean. But then I figured out that the wheels on the actual lift weren't actually aligned. I'm not sure how that happened, but I did align it again, and then I also added some dry lubricant. Now, this type of lubricant does not attract dust, so don't make the mistake of using regular WD-40. You only want to use the dry lubricant type. After that, I installed the unit again, and after cursing about this issue for probably about a good year, it took me a full 15 minutes to actually get it back into working order. So I would say lesson learned, but I'll admit, chances are I'll be doing this with some other issue in the near future. Oh well, I guess we all have our toxic traits. This is my WEN Air filtration unit. But to be honest, it's not my favorite because it gets pretty darn loud. But it does do a good job at filtering out those small dust particles. So I do try my best to keep it on, especially when I'm sanding or when I'm processing wood. And even running it for an hour at the end of the day does help keep any dust circulating around the air from landing on my tools. And that just helps keep the shop overall dust free. Now, it does come with a filter that can easily be removed, and you simply vacuum it. And that is exactly what's next on the list to do. It's a quick and easy job, and within a few minutes, it's back to its full power working order again. Next on my list is my Rikon dust extractor. The bag I of course change all the time, but similar to the WEN, it has a filter for the fine dust that needs to be vacuumed out every couple of months to keep the flow as good as possible. Now, this is a messy job, which means I basically have to stick my head inside. So a full dust mask is absolutely required for this messy job. If you have ever tried to plane maple, then you will know that it has a tendency to clog your planer. Now, this could very well be caused by taking too large of a pass, but nonetheless, it is a pain when it happens because it means you're going to have to disassemble the top of the planer. And for this DeWalt 735, you take off the top in order to clear it out. Now, technically, I don't actually have a clog right now, but I'm positive that there is a lot of buildup sawdust inside of my machine. And as mentioned before, this is the time for maintenance of my machines. Now, once I opened up the top, I realized that I have never actually rotated my blades. I still have the original kind, not the fancy Rikon type. And if you unscrew the screws, you can rotate each of the 3 blades in order to unlock a brand new sharp blade. So that's what I did. Now, it does mean that the next time I'll have to order some new replacement blades, but seeing as I've had this machine for almost 3 years and this is the first time I'm rotating the blades, I think I'll be okay for a while. I wasn't quite done with my planer just yet because I have another annoyance that definitely needs to be fixed, because every single time I attempt to plane wood, my darn dust hose is in the way when the wood exits. And now that I own a 3D printer, it is time to put my new CAD skills to the test. Now, I wish I could say it was as smooth as designing it and printing it and being done. But the reality is I had to go through 5 or 6 versions before I finally got the proper fit down. My print is done. I did a couple of more tests and I have now gotten this really nice fit. I did make a couple improvements. One being that this is now the correct tightness for the machine so that it still has a little bit of play to be placed in, but no more where it's going to feel unsecure. So it's just a teeny little wiggle room, which is very intentional. And second, I also made this part, the other end where the hose comes out, I made that based on this kind of a hose, which is a 105 mil hose. So if you have the same one, the way that works is it just clicks on like that and it sits nice and securely. Like it can still come in and out very easily, but it should be nice and tight so that no air comes through, because you obviously want this to stay on. So right now, this goes on just like this. You just kind of put it on and you use a little pokey thing to press in the other button, and then it is right here. And then when you want to go and actually use it, all you do is take your little dust hose like that, and it's good to go, with the full benefit of the wood now being able to come out without the stupid dust hose being in the way. So now that I've made that, if you would like your own copy for your DeWalt planer, then I will leave the link below to the actual 3D printed file. But if you don't have a 3D printer, I will also make this available on my website so that you can just buy it and use it, and it's gonna be awesome. So, but remember, it does require that you have this 105 hose. If you need something else, if you have a different measurement, feel free to message me and I will make some different ones based on what hoses everyone have. You just have to let me know what the size of your unit that it's going to is. So super excited about that. I'll be testing it out over the next couple of weeks, and if I need to update it or make it even better, I will continue to do that too. Okay, so as part of getting my shop back up and running here and taking care of it here in January, one of the things that's been bothering me for a while now is my bandsaw, because it has this like foot pedal here, and you're supposed to be able to break the blade very quickly, not as quickly as like a saw stop, but very, very quickly. But for a while now, it has not been working well. Like it does break it, but very, very slowly. And there's like a tension bracket here on the back, and I've been playing around with that. It did not work. So I figured it was something to do with the actual tension cable here. So I took apart this part because I was talking to AI, and it recommended that I take a look at the brake pads as well. Maybe they were worn out, which I didn't think that they were, but figured maybe just sawdust or something got in the way. But when I took this off, I actually noticed that the inside pad here had this little mark. And when I went to go put it back together, I was like, where's this screw? Because that's clearly a screw mark, and I don't have it. And I had to look at my footage again because I'm like, did I just drop it right now or what's going on here? But it turns out it's missing. It was not on here. And that makes perfect sense because this is actually called a front adjusting screw, which means that when you adjust this part, which is similar to the back one, it provides tension from the other side, which means that the blade will actually tension properly, which is why the back one didn't work. So the point is, I know what is causing the issue. The good news is that I figured it out. The bad news is that I don't have this screw, and I feel like I saw it at one point because I think it has a little knob on it. And usually I save things like that because I don't always remember where they come from, but I can't find it. But the good thing is that it's just a 3/8 of an inch hex screw. So it's a fairly easy replacement. Found one on Amazon. It should be here tomorrow, and then I'll be able to put that in. I do have a really long run right now, but I can't use it because it goes beyond here, and then this wouldn't be able to rotate. So we'll see how it goes once I get it tomorrow, but I'm excited because it means I might actually get it to work again. Yay for taking the time to actually do these things. That's gonna save me time later on. So I just got my screws. I actually got the first package yesterday, and that was a 1-inch screw, but it turned out they were actually too long. So now I got these ones, which are 1/2 of an inch. I think that's pretty much the smallest that I can get. I didn't realize that there's actually like a little secondary ledge inside here. So I didn't actually have as much room as I thought, which is funny because when I read the manual, it says that it's it says it's a 1-inch screw. So that's kind of surprising. Okay, so that's, I don't know how tight I need to make it because obviously it needs to be able to move, but okay, at least that can move now. Cool. So now I just need to test it with the brake, and hopefully we have a fully working solution again. Sadly, this screw did not actually end up fixing my issue. I can make it tight so that the brake is stuck, but I can't actually rotate the wheel when I make it that tight. And it seems like there's no happy medium between the tightness and unscrewing it a bit again. So unfortunately, this issue is still not solved. So if you have any idea as to why my brake is not working, I would love your feedback. Now, I will also be reaching out to Laguna next to get their help to figure out what is going on. But if you already have the answer, then please let me know down in the comments below. But unfortunately, this problem is to be continued. I don't think that quite worked. Darn it. Not quite what I was hoping for. One of the most frustrating things when I go and do some work in the shop is that when I go to do my glue ups and I go to clamp them and they just won't move because I'm lazy. I fully admit this. And I don't take very good care of my clamps, which means that I often have old glue stuck to my clamps. So today I'm going to be cleaning these up. And my New Year's resolution is going to be to take better care of my clamps by using tape whenever I can and protecting them and actually cleaning them after I've used them so that this kind of stuff doesn't build up. I've cleaned these before, it's not my first rodeo, and I actually find that the best way to clean them is by using a sander. Let me show you how. So it's actually quite simple. All you want to do is make sure that your unit is all the way out towards the end. And then you're gonna just use some old sandpaper. You don't need to bring out your new stuff for this. And then you're gonna sand this all the way off. You're gonna take off all the crusty old glue here. And just be careful because there are some ridges up here. And if your sandpaper is super aggressive, you can remove these ridges. It will require quite a bit of stuff, but I'm just warning you, you can ruin your clamps by doing this too. So don't go crazy, just enough to remove the glue and no further. So then now my top is nice and clean, and I like to just test it at this point. Make sure that it glides nicely. I still have a lot of junk right here on the side, so I am gonna go over it one more time just on each side here just to get everything cleaned off. And then I'm just gonna wipe them down. Now you can use a little bit of mineral spirit to clean it, but then afterwards, if you do use that, make sure it's completely wiped off and clean. And then what you can do is you can actually apply some dry lubricant to these. That's just gonna make it really slide very nicely. And it's also gonna prevent any rust from building up, because these can obviously rust as well. And especially now that you're kind of messing with the coating here, it is a good idea to do that. So just a thin layer of this dry lubricant and then wipe off the excess. And that's gonna set your clamps up for success. And hopefully you won't abuse them the same way that I have, because clamps are expensive. So we wanna keep them for a very long time. I contemplated whether or not I should tackle this next project right now, but I did decide eventually to proceed because it's a lot easier to fix a slightly dirty surface than a very rusty one. Speaking of my table saw, the cast iron table. To clean any cast iron surface, you're going to want to start by removing as much of the rust, which means spraying the surface with a nice coat of WD-40. Now this time I'm using the normal kind. I also like to use a green sponge brush to gently remove the dirt, grime, and of course the rust. Now, if you do have a lot of rust, you do need to repeat this step a couple of times by wiping the coating away and then spraying with the WD-40 again. Once you're happy with the results, I recommend spraying a degreaser to remove any traces of the WD-40. And again, wipe it off fully. The last step is coating the surface. I like to use a Minwax paste, and heating it up a bit can help making it a little easier to apply. And once it's fully coated, you're gonna wanna buff it off again. And this will take both some time and some muscle, but the good news is that this will absolutely count as your daily exercise, so consider it a 2-in-1 deal indeed. Now this coating usually lasts me almost a full year, but if you do have a very humid shop, or if you have teenagers or husbands who decide to place their coffee cups on your cast iron surface, then you may need to do this a little bit more often. My task list for today is done, but the list in reality is far from done, because the reality is that there's always more things to tackle in the shop. But if you have some suggestions for how to maintain your shop throughout the year, then please drop them down below in the comments. One of my recommendations would be to tackle things as they come up. Don't wait for them to become an annoyance. Don't do like me. And also to maybe set aside a few hours every single month, maybe the last Friday of the month, set aside a few hours at the end of the day to tackle these issues so that they don't build up when you really need to use your tools, which is often during those really busy seasons. Thank you so much for watching this video. Next time I will be back with a build video, so there will be no more cleaning for a while. Thank you so much to all of my Patreon followers, and especially my VIP followers as well. If you'd like to see what's happening over on my Patreon page, then you can take a photo of the QR code that's listed on your screen right now. I will see you soon in the next Wood Story. One of the most frustrating things that I can think of when I'm doing work in the shop is when I need to do a glue up and they all fall down.